Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of We Are the Review Crew here on Sea of Tranquility. I am your host, Jamie Laszlo, and our crew today, Rick Labonte is in the house. Nick Franco is in the house. He's been here one other time. I don't think I was on that show. Pete
Aw.
was in that one. And Karen LaPreziosa is in the house as well. So we got some new releases that we want to talk about today. Maybe some smaller bands, maybe some bands you heard of, but we like to push those smaller bands right into your face, and give them the recognition they deserve. So,
Yes,
Rick
sir.
Bonte, what we're going to start with you. What album do you want to talk about first?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm gonna do the band Dead Daisy, which I just saw on June 11th, and they
Nice.
put out a new album called Light 'Em Up. But if you follow this channel, you know Pete been faithfully covering this band for a long time. I think Burn It Down was the first video I ever saw him do, but there's quite a bit of their discography. And one thing you know about this band, they got what you call musical shares, a lot of personality, come back and forth. In fact, in this album, John Corabi comes back for
Mhm.
playing in a couple albums because Glenn Hughes was doing the last two albums before that as a vocalist. And so it's been always an understanding because they always have a working band that they were active in. Now that some of that stuff is coming to a halt, for example, members from Whitesnake was in it, Doug Alkwood, and a lot of people had to coordinate their schedule. And if the planet could line up, they would get the Dead Daisy and go out and tour, make an album and perform. What's interesting is the last two albums, though, it's all original. They usually throw a cover in one of their tunes because I don't know if they just never took it as seriously, knowing it's a super group, because that's what it is. All these people that come and go on these albums all have incredible resumes as far as where they come from, what they have to offer. And so you kind of get the same consistency. Even though each album is different, it still has that Dead Daisy format or formula where it's rock and roll swagger. It's everything that we like about music. That's not just too not taken seriously. Like me, I like prog music. I like doom rock, and there's some stuff that's just so serious. It's kind
Yeah.
of cool to have an album where you just put in and you like almost every tune. It doesn't stay too long. And you tend to drive a little faster, maybe do work around the house because it is a fast-paced record.
Good.
I think it only slowed down on the ninth song and the 10 songs on here. And but it's really high energy, and it kind of reminds me of some of the things that they come from. I would say it sounds a lot of bit the 21st century Whitesnake, or you can tell that some of the past is it coming out in their DNA, and it comes out in this music. So and it's I think it's kind of cool. I saw them in Detroit, or I say West Lane, Michigan, in a place called Token Lounge. And they were like, I was in front row. They signed some of my stuff that I had in front of me. But a lot of the tunes, they played it for the first time, and it really translate live. And I really enjoyed it. And for not hearing those songs at all, you were digging into it just like the song that you already knew. So it was already a good package deal for them. So let me highlight a couple of songs that are worth noting. Light 'Em Up, obviously, title track. Times Are Changing. This one was done on stage, and it's kind of the video "I Want to Be Your Bitch," kind of a
Mhm.
joke and tongue-in-cheek kind of rock and roll. It reminds me of some of the '90s Alice Cooper kind of mixing, or the way the sound of the record. It has that LA production. For me, that's what I hear. I'm gonna ride back to zero, way back home. It's a great one. Take a long ride. There's I would say the slowest song, like, not really a power ballad, but it may be considered a power ballad, but it's not really a slow love song type. It's just that it's kind of a mid-tempo and got some dynamic. And it's a song called Love That Never Be. And I'll tell you, I think that sounds like already a hit that never been discovered. And some of these songs have those qualities because it's very accessible. And they end on a good note. Take My Soul, a little bit of rocky and bluesy all the way through it. It got that appetite of, like I said, what I like, why I would, kind of interested in this band. because of their history, Whitesnake. But it's been a trend where a lot of supergroup like Black Country Communion, Black Swan, where all these people with great resume come together and team up and make some great records. And so this is no no different to the rule. I just want to mention that Doug is temporarily not in the band touring as of right now. He has a treatable throat cancer, and it's just been posted yesterday that Doug Aldrich is recovering well, and he'll be back in no time. But in the meantime, his buddy Reb Beach from Whitesnake, his side, partner in crime on the guitar, is filling in for the remainder of a few shows while he's recovering. So just so people know out there, Doug is okay. It's been announced like this morning. So anyway, Doug, Dead Daisies, and light them up.
Nice.
Good.
The Dead Daisies was my very first concert after COVID.
Really,
Really?
eh?
Yeah, and here's the poster I ripped off the wall. It was called Get Out of the House Tour."
Well, they
Yeah, that's
give you a
cool.
poster.
Yeah, it was so nice to be at a concert for the first time in like
Right.
a while.
Yeah, this comes in with the CD and a book about the lyrics and stuff. And I got the shirt from the headquarters when I got the CD. So anyway, it's worth it. Is it better than the previous? I think they're all at par. They're pretty consistent. If you know what they're about, you're not going to be disappointed. They stick to that formula.
Cool. All right, Nicholas,
Yes, what's
you
up?
got
All right. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is it actually I'm really riding the high of this album because I just reviewed it and I just interviewed the singer. So the band is called High Parasite. The album is called Forever We Burn. I don't have a physical copy yet. It came out yesterday on Candlelight Records, Spine Farm Records, somehow both of them. Um, it is produced and partially written by Gregor McIntosh of Paradise Lost, the legendary English doom and goth metal band. And it features the vocal talents of one of my heroes in music, Aaron Stainthorpe, who has been the singer of My Dying Bride, a good old Yorkshire doom, dark death metal,
Yeah.
sometimes goth metal, 30 something year juggernaut of a band. Aaron's participation in this new band doesn't mean he's stopping My Dying Bride. He's just wants to branch out and do something else. And why I love High Parasite and I want to recommend it on here to everybody is if you appreciate songs that are just more catchy than what did I say in the review? More catchy than the flu during the first week of school. There you go. There it is. 4.5 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, really danceable tunes with a metal heart, phenomenal guitar work. What I love about this is that the elements are coming together so that people who like more gothy, like Sisters of Mercy or Fields of the Nephilim, will be happy. People who like the heavier edge of My Dying Bride will be happy because Aaron's vocals can be smooth and clean and dark and like almost like typo negative, but he also they feature the death metal vocals as well. And as you know, a lot of bands will do clean vocal death metal death
Oh,
vocal trade-offs, and a lot of it just sounds very, like they're doing it on purpose, or,
oh,
and they switch parts like right when you would expect them to, those bands. And this is not like that. These guys have been at this for 35 years, like they grew up listening to everything good and they know they're not reinventing the wheel, but they know how to synthesize those elements. So they made 3 videos. They're really good videos for Grave Intentions. Oh man, always in the moment, I always forget the song titles, but if you search on YouTube, High Parasite, you will be taken right to the 3 videos. It just has that 90s feel to me, which that's my decade. Uh, I loved when some of the heavier bands departed from more gothy shores. That happened with a lot of bands, everybody from Creator to My Dying Bride and Sentenced and all those like Century Media bands. They went through their they departed from their death metal roots and not everybody liked it and it didn't always work. But I have I pine for that a little bit because I love the catchiness as somebody who listens to skull splitting black metal, it can't always be, I like different moods, and this High Parasite album strikes all the moods. I mean, there's one song that you'll want to tear walls down to with moshing. There's a couple others that you could see dancing to a club, in a goth club or something like that. But you have the great guitar solos. The guitarist, his name is Toombs. I don't know what his real name is, but his name is Toombs. And like he's this guy. Where did this guy come from? I guess he's worked for My Dying Bride before on the like in the background, and he's just so incredibly brilliant. And they already have their second album written. So even though this is a debut, these are all guys with decades worth of experience. I highly recommend this. It strikes. I think it's got something for everyone for real. High Parasite, Forever We Burn. I can't say enough good things about it. It's going to be one of my albums of the year for sure.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Oh,
You know what? I have a similar album that I'm going to review in just a bit.
cool.
Kind of like that, a little gothy.
Hmm.
very cool.
Yeah, I
All
love
right,
it.
Karen. First of all, I'm very excited I just made my hotel reservations. I'm going to see these three people in New York in December. I'm coming in on the 6th, and our thing is on the 7th, right?
Awesome.
I met Nick before. I met Rick. Karen, I never met you, so this will be fun.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't wait.
Have
It's
some
going to be
drinks
exciting.
together. Maybe
It's
we'll go
nice.
find a pinball machine somewhere, Karen.
Not difficult. Not
Not
difficult
difficult.
to
No.
find. Yeah.
All right.
I my life has been so cluttered, and I just want to thank Pete for helping me along and sending me some things to listen to because I've just have so much going on, and I appreciate you, Pete. Don't think I don't see that stuff. So that being said, the first album I'm going to review is called Free Ride. They're a three-piece from Spain, and the name of the album is Ácido y Puto. I don't know exactly. I kind of have an idea what that is, but I'm
Same
not
to
going to
you.
say it.
What does that mean? That sounds dirty.
It is. It is.
Does it mean something up the butt or something? That's what
Nick,
it
do you
sounds
want
like.
to feel this one? Because
I
I'm
don't.
not
Is it
good at
Spanish?
it.
Um, let's see. Say the title again.
Ácido, ACIDO, E puto, PUTO, which I think you have an idea what that means.
Okay, now it means up the other thing.
Yes.
Ácido y puto. Let's see.
Okay. You guys can Google it.
Yeah.
Google Translate.
Oh,
I like
can I
this
say it?
song.
Sorry. I have
Go
to
for
say
it.
it. Acid and fucking.
That's what I
Oh.
was wondering if it was acid. Yeah.
Hey, sounds good to me. I'm all about both of those things. So, um, okay, so I know.
Oh, December is going to be fun.
So this reminds me a lot of Cadaver, and not
Nice.
just because it's a three-piece. They have a lot of the same guitar sound with that wah wah, and then the riffs are just the backbone, and then they come in at the right time. They have vocals that remind me of Black Rainbows, which I kind of like. I like those laid back vocals. I really do. It's very, very drifty and spacey. And that's this record. It's just like Cadaver in the sense where it's spacey, the guitar sound is and the song structures. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Um, there's 9 tracks. Let me see. Hold on just a second. My favorite one is Cosmic Swell and Vice. They're very, very cool. And oh, sugar. Hang on a minute, dudes. Here I am. Okay. Yeah, it's I like it a lot. If you like Cadaver, it's the same tempo, same structures, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm struggling to find other ways to describe it because it's just so much like that. And I like it. I do like it. It just makes me think of Cadaver a lot. And
Do you
is
like
that
Cadaver?
bad? What's that?
Do you like Cadaver?
I love Cadaver. I do. I love Cadaver. Not so much their later stuff, but I do love Cadaver. So it's in that vein. Maybe very European because that seems to be a kind of more European sound. And yeah, but maybe it's a little too close as far as the guitar sound goes, as far as the soloing goes. It's just like I forget that dude's name in Cadaver.
Oh,
But it's pretty good. I like it. Will I be reaching for it? No. Maybe. Yeah, maybe I will now that I think about it. Would I like to see these guys live? Absolutely. There are certain bands in my mind that are better live than on record. And I feel like this band potentially is one of them because I kind of like that in live. I like that spacey vibe when more live than anything. And I definitely think this band will deliver it. So this is called Free Ride, and I haven't got the hard copy yet. It's called Acido Uputo. And yeah, I think you anybody who likes that spacey cadaver sound, that 70s retro vibe and a little bit of stoner mixed in, I think you'll like this record. It's pretty cool.
all right, cool.
Well, there you
Got
go.
got me interested in that.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
sorry I'm just so lax on the way to describe these things, but when these bands remind me so much of another band, I just that's all that's in my mind. So
and there's
forgive
so
me.
many bands, stoner spacey bands these days that you run out of adjectives to describe
Yeah,
the album.
and you run out of it's hard to be original in this. And so sometimes when I hear something that sounds so much like a band that really might not be all that original, it's kind of is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. It depends.
Well,
So
if I could just interject quickly,
sure.
when this is a form of music journalism, right? So when you're sitting there talking about music, you're inclined, you want to describe, uh, music. And there's a number of people that I encounter that are like, oh, this band sounds just like that, or they sound just, well, you're going to be pretty disappointed if you want, there's hundreds of thousands of bands. It's almost impossible to come up with something natural that is totally not related to something else. A
Absolutely.
lot of these bands are not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like this High Parasite, I just talked to this guy, Aaron. He said, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We want to make songs that we like, that people will like, that sound like the things that we like. So I think there's no shame in that.
I don't think there's any shame in it. The only
Yeah.
thing that's odd to me is the guitar soloing. It's just like what's that guy's name in Cadaver, the guitar player, Jamie? He's
I don't know.
escaping
They're from
me now.
Germany, aren't they?
Yeah, they got some weird
Probably won't
wolf
be able to
name.
pronounce it anyway.
Cadaver with a K,
Lupus.
right?
Lupus Lederman is his
Oh,
name.
okay. Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, he sounds a lot like that with
Yeah.
that wah wah, and it's very close, which
Yeah.
is difficult in a genre that all sounds the same, but his guitar playing and soloing is a little close to
But
that.
you could think of it this way, since you don't like later Cadaver, they're picking up to the era of Cadaver.
And carrying that
Stop
torch.
liking, they're
Yeah,
taking the baton and moving on with it.
right. And I do like it. I don't want to, I don't want to come off like I didn't like it. It's just an observation. So,
Well, as a songwriter, I understand that dilemma. I mean, you listen so much music, hard not to have that filtered in your own DNA.
right.
You forget you don't, who I really am. I mean, I'm a little bit this, a little bit that, and they all come in. But at the same time, those artists that I'm part of, like somebody could say, well, I hear, Robert Plant and I hear Paul Rogers or whatever. But Paul Rogers can't do Robert Plant. Robert Plant can do Paul Rogers. I mean, they're all different personalities. So
Yeah.
somehow, it's a building block, but I think I don't think music ever is truly original. Somebody always spin off of something else. Right from Elvis Presley version of his tune, right to the
Yeah.
Beatles take on Motown, to a
Right.
lot of other things that kind of pushed the music forward. And but it is difficult when you're reviewing music and you want to recognize its song and all that without comparing something you already know.
It's really
And
hard.
exactly, and it's the kind of those bands you're often gonna find they share the same bill as those other bands that they sound like. Why? Because there is a community of that sound. They're all running for that kind of thing. So for us, when we're trying to just drive them individually, it does make it a little challenging. But yeah, it's give and take. There's some bands when the grunge scene came out, I only like a handful of ones that were cool, like Alice in Chains or whatever. But when everybody cloning them, I stopped. Just
Right.
like when Tesla and
Seven
GM
Mary
all
Three.
these first coming out, they had all kinds of clones coming after, and we eventually you just got to pick and choose what do you want to keep with. You
Yeah.
know,
So that being said, first of all, I love this interaction between all of us. That being
Yeah.
said,
I'm gonna get a fucking beer.
the the guitar sound, the guitar sound, Rick, is just so close to the solos in Cadaver. It's
oh
that's my problem. Yeah, it's all riffs, right? It's all riffs, but the guitar sound is the solos are just so close. So that's the only reason I bring it up. I mean, it
yeah,
just
Yeah.
when I hear it, it just sounds like Cadaver. And like I said, I love Cadaver. This record is I found it very enjoyable, but that's always been in the back of my mind. Would I see them live? Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I don't want people to get it twisted. It's not that this is a bad record. It's just that was the first thing that jumped out in my mind about it. And it's a
yeah.
major thing.
I mean, do you expect these bands to create new genres? Crying out
No, I
in the
expect their bands
history
not to sound like a guitar player.
in the
I
history of
mean,
popular
that's what
music.
sound your solos as a guitar player set you apart.
Uh,
That's the one spot that I expect it somewhat original,
have
and
your
this
own
is
signature.
very close.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same effects, the same
Yeah.
structure.
If you're listening to the band and it pops in your head while you're listening to it, that could be a little like distracting.
Right.
Yes,
If you know what I mean, if you're sitting there analyzing it and then you think of well, it sounds like this, that's one thing. But if you should be, it's almost like a good story that you're reading. When you're immersed in it, you're not thinking like I read these big fantasy epics. They
yeah,
all pay homage to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, big
They
time.
all do. But when you're in that immersed in the story, you're not thinking of that because it's such a good story. The same
Right.
goes for music. You
Yeah.
know, the band I was talking about, like, yeah, I could point to five, six, seven different bands, but they're writing their own story. When I'm listening to High Parasite, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good because
right,
yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel, but and that's the real genius of songwriting.
Yes.
I don't expect
Styling
bands
too.
to invent new shit, you know, the way they did in the 60s and 70s, but uh cast the spell.
right.
Cast the spell, I'm in.
Like I said, I was really getting into it as soon as he soloed.
Yeah.
That sounded like
That
Cadaver
broke
to
the
me.
fourth wall kind of. Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm bitching about this record, which I really am not, I like I said, I really enjoyed it. Their solos take me right back to Cadaver, and
Right.
Kind of like someone who sounds like David Gilmour, you know.
Mm.
who no one sounds like David Gilmour.
Right. But if
Nobody.
someone did try to sound like David Gilmour,
It's hard not
you
to
write out
notice
the
it.
song.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys understand that because like I said, Free Ride, it's a good record. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening to it over. I didn't have a problem with that. It wasn't like I'm forcing myself to do it. I really did enjoy it. That was just the first thing that popped out in my mind.
It was a free ride, anyways, because Pete gave
The
it to
Free Ride, hell yeah. And I am going to pick up the hard copy. It's just I haven't gotten it yet.
Cool. Jamie.
Well, my first band that I want to talk to is kind of like that gothiness as well. And they are called Unto Others.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Who Unto Others formed 2017, but they came on as Idle Hands. They had to change their name because of some copywritten thing, or there was another Idle Hands or something like that. They're from Portland, Oregon. And what do they play? They play gothy hard rock with elements of pop and metal. Album that I want to talk about today is Neverland. This is their third album, second as Unto Others. This was released September 20th, 2024. So they like to combine Sisters of Mercy, Danzig, Typo Negative,
I
and
like it.
80s pop into it. So
I
I
like
would
it all.
say, if you're into that, you might enjoy these guys. The first three songs on this album kind of just define what the album's all about. Butterfly is the very first track. It's not the bad song. It's not a cover by that awful song by Crazy Town or anything. It's their own song called Butterfly. It's just infectious. It's got big hooks. It's fun. It's a great, if this was a different era, it could get played on the radio with no problem. Then
Right.
Mama Likes the Door Closed is the second song, and that's a heavier song. And even the title sounds like a Misfits song. Mama Likes the Door Closed. It sounds like a Misfits song. The the subject matter is very Misfits like. It's about mom practicing witchcraft behind a closed door. So you see, again, they're feeding off of what they knew in the past. And
Right.
then Angel of the Night's a third track, and it's a ballad. It's a nice gothy ballad. So right there is what you get for the rest of the album. Some of it works better than other songs, like Suicide Today, great song, so much fun, has a dark humor to it, but I guess a good message at the same time because he says, you don't have to kill yourself today. You can wait until tomorrow, which is nice. And if you say that every day, I guess you just never kill yourself, is the running joke, I guess. So it's a nice message. It's a fun, peppy song. It's got a sing along chorus. Sunshine comes off as a little too, maybe to some people, a little too pop punk ish. But you may in the structure of the song, but when they're playing it, it has that gothiness to it. But you
Mm.
know what? I was thinking when I was hearing it, is this too pop punk? If you listen to early Misfits, you give it better production and take away a little bit of that grit. It's pop punk. Those are pop punk songs. Oh, 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 oh. Every time they do that, it sounds like pop punk to me. Um, when the kids get caught is fine, but I feel like I heard it before. Cold World might go into 80s pop a little bit too much for people because I'm like, it sounds like the Thompson twins a
I'm
little bit
down for
to
that. I
me.
love that.
It's like, hold
Very cool.
my hand. It reminds me of that shit. And as
I
the
love
song goes on, the album goes on, time goes on. I Am the Life, Farewell, Never Neverland. The title track's really good. Hoops is really good. It's an instrumental. It just rocks. Some people are down on this album, I think, because it sounds like they're trying to get a radio hit. They're not going to get a radio hit. I don't care how catchy this fucking song is, but it sounds like they're just trying to, and maybe that's off-putting to some people. Hey, they on their last album they covered Pat Benatar's "Hell's for Children,"
That's right.
which is really cool. On the deluxe version of this, I don't have it, but I YouTubed it. They cover the Ramones' "Pet Cemetery." I'm not a big Ramones fan, but I kind of like that song, and that is a perfect song for this band to cover. They do a great job of it. So if you like Sisters of Mercy, Misfits, Bauhaus, Typo Negative, I guess the Thompson Twins, give this a try. On the Rock and Roll Report Card, I'm giving the production a B plus, solid B plus. Songwriting, B minus. I mean, the songs are fun. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great, but they're not reinventing the wheel. Musicianship, B minus. They're playing the songs and they're playing them well. Vocals, an A. He has that gothiness thing down pat. And
Mm.
I'm adding plain old fun. It's just a plain old fun record. A for that. So yeah, check out Unto Others, Never Neverland.
Jamie, funny little story about them. I saw them, I've seen them a few times, one of which was at Beyond the Gates in Norway, in Bergen, Norway in 2022. And at, one half drunken night after the music ended, we were all kind of funneled out and walking back to our Airbnbs and whatnot. And we wound up going to the same late night Norwegian version of 7-Eleven as them. Like they were
Okay.
walking next to us, and
All right.
the singer is called Gabriel Franco.
Yes, yes. Oh, I
So
see. That's your last.
yeah, so Gabriel and I determined that we are not related to each other, but we might be related to each other, but we're not related to each other. But it
Okay.
was very funny. I got to talk to them and talk about what snacks to get late at night. You want to talk about regular dudes that
Yeah.
Right.
like just the sweetest guys on the planet.
Yeah. I
And
saw him in an interview recently this morning
yeah,
on
yeah.
YouTube. He's like, I cannot believe people want me to like sign things. That just
Oh,
blows.
he's so
You
humble.
want my signature on something? He's a young dude too. He looks
They're
really
very young. Yeah, he's tall. Yeah, he's
yeah.
young.
Oh, the
I think
tallness
I think
goes right into that goth look too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was funny. It's like he's like Hispanic Franco. I'm Italian Franco because that name turns up
Yeah.
in both parts of the world. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Yeah,
Huh, that's
pretty
sweet.
cool guy. That was a cool story.
Right on.
They're on tour with Green Lung right now in the UK, I believe.
Oh, I love
Nice.
I
Green
just
Lung.
saw Green Lung. What a fucking show.
Mhm.
Yeah. I miss
Rick,
them at
what you got?
Okay, well, we just talked about fun records. This one is like a different, kind of like a whole melancholy vibe with a lot of dynamic. And the reason being, because he's a contemporary blues artist, and we know him as Joe Bonamassa, and he has a new album called Live in Hollywood Bowl. Let me get a better shot of that. But Hollywood Bowl with the live out CD and of course the Blu-ray, like that whole combo deal. And the thing with this guy is that he's always putting out live albums. Like, I mean, this guy's busy. Think about it. He's year 2000. Okay, this is the guy that was discovered by B.B. King. Remember, at 12 years old, went in there and became at 20 years old. He put out 16 albums and there's 19 live albums out there.
Wow.
And so the guy's busy. So like when you had Time Clock, he followed it with Tales of Time. Then he last year put Blues Deluxe Volume 2. We'd never done a volume second before, but maybe because it's over 10 years since the last one or so. But then it's live at the Hollywood Bowl, and rightfully so. This is a legendary place, right? There's a lot of great concerts in my collection that I hold near and dear to my heart because Hollywood Bowl has a certain dynamic. Reminds me of what I go in Detroit, the Pine Knob Music Theater. It's a outdoor amphitheater, right? So you got a big hill and you go right to the tunnel. Well, this is sort of the same thing, but what's different about this show, he brought a live orchestra. Every time he does a live concert, he brings something he hasn't done. That's why he has all these live albums. Brings guests, or he brings a theme of music that he just concentrate on the British invasions, or in this case, because of his, you know, vocabulary and music, he had a lot he could do with an orchestration. And then some bands can't pull it off, some bands do. I mean, I got Yes, I got Moody Blues, there's all kinds of cool bands. Deep Purple did a good orchestration one. Metallica. Some people, it's hit and miss for me. But this worked for him because it's blues, right? But what's different about this live album than many others, he's always been some kind of a, I want to say showboat or show off, but he was a guitar player, right? And he made that guitar sing, and that's been his meal ticket through the whole years. It's how he can play. But in the last few years, maybe before this even, he's been concentrating on singing and songwriting. It's not about showing how great of a guitar I am and I can imitate Jimmy Page or clap and Jeff Beck and all the people behind me. He's about trying to find himself as a songwriter and singer. And that's what this whole concert is based around. Orchestration has, I mean, when the songs are rocking, it brings a lot of cool embellishment to the song. And what I learned is that he hired people like David Campbell, Trevor Rabin to help write the musical scores that would help enhance his music. So it was a big project for him to get this done. But like I said, it's not a fast-pacing concert like in some other shows you've done. It's not all blues too, 12-bar blues. It's more of a peaks and valleys and a lot of dynamic and orchestration that really brings his heart out. And he does his songs like If Heartaches Were Nickels, That'll Be Obvious, The Ballad of John Henry, Slow Gin. There's quite a few obvious songs. They come out strong with Curtain Call, Self-Inflicted Wound. There's a lot. I mean, I can name almost every one because there's something special about these versions of these songs if you heard it in studio. And like you said, Karen, sometimes live brings a whole new feel and it's a little bit on a raw side, but a lot could go wrong when you have so many people on stage. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
like it is true for me as a in a band. Less is more, and they have so many people on the stage, so much play, and yet it was flawless. Nobody get rubbed out on their frequency. Everybody can be heard. The problem with orchestration is that sometimes it brightens up and the song sounds too lightweight. Maybe make it almost sound easy listening. It didn't do that. It's actually just add some amplification with some dynamic because of the orchestration, the way they wrote the score. So anyways, if you're a fan, you want to add that to your collection. Me and Pete have done a ranking on Joe, and we have followed every album up to this date. This is the only one he hasn't done, so it's my job to do so. And you know, we're on the live album love episode, so it's my tradition to continue to bring up live material because that still sells today, folks.
Yeah.
Not as popular as the 70s, maybe as the 80s, but in the 21st century, there's still great live albums out there.
Yeah, sure. There is. My favorite live album with an orchestra is Elton John in Australia with the Melbourne Symphony
I
Orchestra.
have that with the DVD.
Oh my God, I've been loving that album since it came out in '87. My two favorite live albums is that and Live Bullet by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. And
Wow.
they're almost tied. I always say Live Bullet makes me move, and the Elton John one moves me. So
Right
Oh,
we'll do their little thing.
I like that.
That's a cool
Well,
way to put it.
that's really big in Detroit. Elton John and Bob Seger. Any of those albums will be very successful here.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, you're next.
Awesome. So I'm gonna speed it up with the beautiful and underrated. I got their shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deceased from Virginia. And I do have the album Children of the Morgue, their latest album. Um, for those, I mean, if I was going to talk to, I mean, obviously, if you know Deceased, you know Deceased, but if you don't know Deceased, just like we were touching on earlier, you want to talk about a band that doesn't give a shit what trend is going on, just does their thing, and they do it so convincingly and so well. And what is their thing? Speedy speed metal with elements of thrash, elements of power metal, but mostly thrash and speed, and a little death metal in there. Um, their singer King Fally is just what can you say about this man? He's just dedicated his life to underground metal. As he says in every album, no ulterior motives, no bullshit, just straight up heavy metal. And you know, this is a band that I don't understand how they when I see them, it's always with like 50 people. Like these
Mhm.
guys, musical chops, dedication, delivery live. You're talking about if I was going to break it down with musicianship, like Jamie, that's awesome. You're like the professor with that. I love it. I would definitely throw A's in the songwriting and musicianship category. His vocals are what they are. They're gruff, growly vocals. You know that's probably that might be a detriment. You know, obviously, there's always a ceiling for bands that have harsh vocals only. Um, but if that's not an impediment to you, you'd have to look long and hard to find speed metal done this convincingly. The subject matter and the lyrics, it's always about a book or a movie. The singer and the rest of the band is probably altogether massive horror fans. Um, they dig up all these like cool movies and write songs about them. And I just think, you know, that they do things the honest way, the old way. They still have like the same like acknowledgement thank yous in the albums that we like would read in the 80s and 90s. You know, they
Mm.
they only know one way to do things, and that's the honest way. Like write the songs. Their guitar player, let me see, they have a newer guy, Shane Fugel, but the guy that's been there since 1990, Mike Smith. I mean, these are just they write solos with the same youthful alacrity that you would have found in the early days. These guys, I don't care how old they are, I don't care how many times they've been around the block, they know how to make convincingly wonderful, fun, in-depth, satisfying to musicians and fan. You know what I mean? If you're a musician, you can appreciate what these guys are doing. And if you're just a schmuck like me who wants to go down the front, drink some fucking drinks and bang your head, they're perfect for that. And there is no more welcoming or family oriented band than Deceased. Um, what else can I say? The album cover art, they always have great album covers.
How are they live?
Oh, they're always good live. He's just,
So tight, right?
yeah, and he just gets on stage like he's all chill and he just delivers.
And
And
50 people in the audience every time.
oh
I
yeah,
saw
give
them
you the
not too
mic,
long
the
ago.
whole thing. What's that,
They were
Ken?
great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I will see them anytime I can. I've seen them. I can't remember how many times. Um, I've seen them so long ago that I remember King Fally ruffling my hair as he walked by because I had a lot of long hair, and he was like, yeah, and that was like, oh, God, a long time ago. I love them so much. They're so criminally underrated. It's ridiculous. They should be bigger. They don't make albums very frequently. They just do it when they want, so they're not part of that machine, to try to like market themselves. And that's probably a big part of it. But I highly recommend Deceased. Children of the Morgue. It's out on Hell's Headbangers Records. Don't miss it. Come on, guys.
Yeah, good stuff. Good
And go
stuff.
see him live. You could be the 51st person.
That's right. And
I
more
saw
than
them
that,
not
maybe
too long
50 is a
ago. There
little
was a
low
decent
ball.
amount of people
They,
there.
they, they've, I've seen them play in front of large crowds, but I'm just saying, to me, it should be,
But bigger.
yeah,
Yeah. hmm
yeah.
hmm
All right,
That's it.
Agreed.
Karen, you're next.
Okay, my next band is called Cobranoid. And they're a trio, again, a trio from Colorado. They like to refer themselves as speed doom, which I could see. Um, Most of it is mid-tempo, but they do get a little fast. Um, Again, I'm going to compare them with two bands. One band in particular, it sounds like they listened to Warp Riders and the Age of Winters from the Sword a lot, especially the Age of Winters. Again, which is not a bad thing because I love Age of Winters. That's one of my favorite things. It is a little fast at times for a doom band, which is welcome. Another band that comes to mind when I hear them is Early Man, which is also a good thing. I like that a lot. My favorite song is Flesh and Bone. The singer is, I like the vocals because it's not clean vocals, but it's not quite growl unintelligible vocals that you can understand what they're saying. They have a sense of humor. They can be a little silly. Song Doom Shark, not my favorite, but it's fast. And in particular, sounds a lot like Age of Winters. The whole song structures are like that. But again, it's cool. I like it a lot. Again, I feel like this record isn't doing the band any justice. I feel like with these riffs and the tempo of the band, like I feel this is a band you need to see live, and I can't wait. If they come around, I'm down for it. It's an EP, and was released in August. It's self-titled, Cobranoid, which is in a way is good because it's still got that little stoner kind of name, but the stoner references to weed are so played out, and it's a little cringy for me at times. But this one is good. I like it.
How do you
Standout
spell it?
track from what's that?
I'm sorry. How do you spell it?
Cobra, Cobranoid,
Oh,
Cobranoid.
okay. It sounds like something I'd like, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Flesh and Bone is the standout track. Shimmer is pretty fast. Flesh and Bone is mid tempo, which is what I like in Doom. And the guitars are super fuzzy and heavy. That's why I'm saying live, this band would be, I can imagine them being much better. And they got together during the pandemic, which is always good to stay creative, got some, don't stay idle. It's good for your brain. And yeah, it was released in August. It's an EP, self-titled. I recommend it.
All right.
I'm gonna check it out.
Sounds good. I love me some Sword. My goodness, me and the
I
wife have
do.
seen the
Age of
Sword
Winters.
so many times.
Yeah.
We saw them at Vegas where everyone was standing in a pool and
I heard that. That was in
running
Psycho,
around in the
right?
pool, and the pool only came up to your knees barely.
Yeah.
Nice,
Everyone's
nice. Were
kicking
you at
water
that one?
around, and the stage is real high, like 15 feet high.
Dig it. I dig
The
it.
beers are flowing.
I saw
Nice.
shows there
Sand
too.
on the
A show there.
beach
Yeah.
kind of thing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking fun.
Sounds
Oh,
great.
those were the days. They're playing. The Sword. They're doing shows again. I've been
Yeah,
saying
I
it since they
know.
broke up. They're gonna get back together. They're
Their
gonna find out.
Play Meditation
Well, I'm
Fest
not.
actually
They're gonna get on the
again.
phone. I ain't doing a fucking thing. What you been doing for 4 years? Nothing. You want to get back together? Yeah.
The last time I saw them, it was really disheartening because they were playing a lot of the new stuff, and people were turning around and walking out, and I felt bad. I felt bad. Here are these guys busting their ass on stage, and the newer albums, Low Country, High Country, they didn't
Yeah.
get as big as a reception, but I just thought it was so disrespectful to turn
Yeah.
around and walk out, and I
Maybe
was,
that had something to do with it.
yeah, I was just like, this is bullshit,
The
stick
guitarist.
around.
What's his name? Kyle Shutt or something like that. So
Mhm.
great guitarist.
I love it. It's traditional metal is really good. So that being said, this Cobranoid isn't this sword isn't such a bad thing for them.
All right. Well, you talked. Did you say that was Speed Doom?
That's what they say, and I could see it because it does have that heavy, fuzzy doom sound, but faster and beyond mid tempo. Not super fast like let's say death metal or anything like that, but faster than mid tempo, like faster than Conan or something like that.
Right.
And yeah, which is really good because I'm really into that kind of maybe like High on Fire on par with that kind of speed, which
Okay.
is I love that. So it's everything that I'm into.
All right. this next band I'm going to talk about is the total opposite of something that would be called speed doom. This is much slower doom. And this is an album that came out a few months ago. So I'm going back in time a little bit to this summer. It went right underneath the radar. I didn't catch it, but I'm glad I caught it now. So the name of the band is Old Horntooth. Old Horntooth. You know the legend of Old Horntooth? Well, sit down, kids. Let me tell you the legend of Old Horntooth.
Sitting on a rocking chair somewhere in Kentucky.
Old Horntooth formed in 2017. They're from London, England. What do they play? Slow, epic doom metal. And the album is called Morning Light. And it came out way back in July of 2024. Now, this is slow doom. How slow, Jamie? I'll tell you how slow. This is music about as slow as this dude in the old Bugs Bunny cartoon, The Tortoise. This music takes its time about as much as this guy. Takes its time as much as the people in front of you at the ATM. You know, why can this? He's still pushing buttons. What is he doing? Takes its time as much as this guy in front of you at the deli at the supermarket. Can I try a little of that? How much salt does it have? Can you cut it thin? Can you cut it a little thinner than that? Takes its time as much as downloading porn in 1996. We all remembered the struggle that was. We almost got nipple. In about 10 minutes, we might have nipple. So, yes, but since it does take its time, what builds up in you is anticipation. If you remember the old Heinz commercial, I don't know if I'm dating myself because I was young when that came out. So, what you get is anticipation on these songs. When they play a note, you're like, ooh, that next note's going to be really badass, and you're waiting for it. So the first song, Precipice, like I said, it takes its time, some of these songs. 2 minutes of just this sound effects of like this atmosphere of, you get about 2 minutes of that before it kicks in. But when it kicks in, oh, Miss Molly, it just hits, man. A big, pummeling sound. And the drummer on this, the way he plays, he might be the fastest guy. He uses the different drums almost as notes, the way he plays. It's very interesting. But as cool as that song is, on this album, there's only four songs. Each one is 21 to 14 minutes long. And each song gets better than the previous. So you just go, nice. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Until you get to the end. No Salvation comes on, which is interesting because Chemist, you guys know the band Chemist, Khemmis. I like them a lot. Yeah. They have a song called Three Gates off 100, and they go, no salvation. And these guys sound a lot like Chemist, a slower Chemist. This band is, you got Bellwitch, you got Chemist, and this band's right in the middle. Not as slow as Bellwitch, not as fast as Chemist. And then when these riffs come in, it's like a big sonic easy chair. Kind of sit in. And then when the vocals come in, they're the perfect kind of vocals. It's like someone putting a pillow behind your head now. That's even better. It's just so great. Morning Light comes on, and Mourning. And it's a great example of a riff where you sit there needing, like, you hear the first part of the riff, you need to hear the second part. You're like jonesing for it. Do you remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Do you remember seeing Who Framed Roger? Remember when Roger Rabbit is hiding in the back of the bar and Judge Doom comes in, Christopher Lloyd, and he goes, I know how to find him. And he starts going, shaving a haircut. He has to finish it. And poor Roger Rabbit's in the back, and he's like this because he has to finish it. When you hear half of these riffs, you're like that. I need the second half. Give it to me now. And when they do, fucking badass. And it doesn't matter how many times they repeat it. It's like this, and then nice, and like this, and like nice. And and they're infectious too. They get they're earworms. They get stuck in your head. When I listened to Morning Light the other day when I was going to Home Depot, it was halfway through the song and the riff was going on. I carried the riff in my head throughout Home Depot for 20 minutes, came back, turned on my car, it continued from where it left off in my head, and it's like the song was 45 minutes long, and that was the extended track, half of it in my head. So yes, it's great. Then Invisible Agony is the last song on the album. Now this is 21 minutes long, and it could be longer, and I wouldn't care. This, like, you want a big finish, like you like albums that have the big finish. This is your big finish. Again, it takes a few minutes to get rolling. How many minutes? Almost 6 minutes to get rolling. But when it gets rolling, man, you have these big riffs, and then you have a fucking cello that's doing this beautiful, I guess, cello riff from heaven. And you mix it with the drumming and the bass and the big riffs, and it creates this sonic fantasy world that you're in. And it gives me goosebumps when I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh my God, these guys. And then they're doing the cello, and they comes in some distorted keyboards or something, and it's layer upon layer upon layer of noise, and then it just ends in this big volcanic eruption of sounds. I don't even know what the fuck I'm listening to, some of the instruments, but it's just beautiful, and it's 21 minutes long, and like I said, it could be longer. So this is the Doom album I've been wanting in 2024, that I've been looking for. If we go
Really?
to the Rock and Roll Report Card, production A, songwriting, I was going to say B plus because it's just slow songwriting. But you know what? The fact that they can leave you hanging, wanting that next note, changed it to an A. Musicianship, I mean, B plus. I mean, it's hard to, when you play this slow, it's hard to, maybe they can do Ingve, I don't know. But on this album, B plus. Vocals at A. How about ability to layer sounds? A fucking plus. And the ability to scratch that doom itch that you might have right there. Yeah, A plus on that one too. So yeah, Old Orange Tooth. Give them a listen. This is their second album. Their first album is out of print, hard to find, but you can download it. I guess I'm gonna have to download it. You know, a lot of these bands reissue them, so I was my eye open up for a reissue of that one. So yeah, I would give that one a listen if you're into slower doom. Karen, I don't know if you are.
No, I am. It depends. I
Even
prefer mid-tempo, but I do love
like,
slow.
yeah, give it a try and be patient with it because it is beautiful. But how about a case of the singles? What singles are floating out there? Well, Jerry Cantrell has a new single out, Afterglow. I like it a lot. It sounds like a really good laid back Alice in Chains song. I don't follow, I never followed his solo career very closely, like here and there. I'm like, that's all right. That's all right. First time I was like, oh, wow, that's really good. Pre ordered the album. Comfortably Numb by Body Count featuring David Gilmour.
Wow, by body.
This, now it's a reworking of Comfortably Numb. They changed the lyrics, and it's Ice-T
Wow.
doing his half singing, half rap thing. But my God, David Gilmour on that fucking song is tearing it up. He has a big, thick, heavy, it sounds like young David Gilmour. I didn't believe it was him because he's constantly tearing it up. Best solo he's done in decades. And it's heavy sounding too. It sounds like a young, pissed off David Gilmour. I still don't believe it's him. I Googled right before the show just to make fucking sure it's him.
Yeah.
Him. It's amazing. So even if you don't like Ice-T, oh, I'm not going to listen to that. You like David Gilmour, you got to hear the tone he's playing with on that fucking song. And then Willie Nelson has a second album coming out in 1 year. This is going to be covers, which reminds me of the Johnny Cash albums. And we all knew, that Johnny Cash wasn't around much longer after those. So
That was
do you
very good.
realize by the Flaming Lips that he's remaking? So does a kind of a cool version of it.
I can imagine. I love that song. I think his vocals would do that song justice.
Yeah, yeah. Give that a listen. And 15 minutes before the show started, I listened to a new song by an old band, a band that I've never been a big fan of, but man, do they have a following. They play stadiums. And so it's the first song in 16 years. So I'm like, let me fucking listen to it. It ain't bad. And I threw it on here at the last second. The new Cure song alone, it's 7 minutes long and pretty epic sounding. As a guy who's never been into the Cure, I don't mind it at all. It's really dark, really moving, and it's like half the first half of the song. There's no singing. It's just this almost prog like darkness to it, and then what's his name? The Smith. Who's
Robert
that?
Smith.
Yeah, Robert Smith
Robert
comes in with his
Smith.
vocals still sounding like Robert Smith is 65. So if you're into the Cure, I was reading the comments. Ooh, everybody's happy. Everybody's like, I've been crying for 3 hours. A lot of people were saying that too. So give it a listen. Yeah, The Cure. And while I got the big board going, don't forget to come on to Let's Get Physical, my physical media page on Facebook, where we talk about everything from books to movies to Blu-rays to vinyl to posters to stuffed animals. I don't give a fuck. If you can touch it, put it on there. Not everything. Not everything you touch that you enjoy, don't put it on there. I don't want to get booted off of old Facebook. So, anyone else want to say anything? These shows exhaust me.
I just want to say Century has a new single out and that rips. I forget the name of it, but I love Century and it's good traditional metal. If anybody wants to listen to it, I'm sure you can find it on Spotify.
And
Yeah,
I'll throw in Solstafir from Iceland. I don't know if you guys have heard of them.
Oh
They're
yes, I know them. I got one
yeah.
album by them. Yeah, from like
Really?
2017.
Yep.
Yes.
Their new material is really incredible, emotive, fucking beautiful, epic, and like maybe proggy. But then they have one single they released that sounds like Mayhem and Angel of Death Slayer
Oh
mixed
wow.
together.
That sounds good to me.
They're kind of like shoegazy black metal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But
Wow.
they've gotten there's something more raw and metally on this new one. So
Okay. And
yeah.
don't forget the Fall Fest, December 7th. Rick Labonte is going to be playing live with his band of brothers.
yes. I just released a new song on Tuesday, September 24th, called "Born Ready," featuring Derek Sherinian on keyboards on it, and it's already got radio play
Nice.
yesterday. And so I've got a music video in 4K on YouTube. Check it out, please. I originally, my friend loaded, we had it uploaded and recognized it was in low resolution. I'm like, what the hell? This is not cool because when people watch it on big screen, 600 hit views are climbing up and all these people saying wonderful things. I said, I had to delete it and re-upload it because you got to do it in 4K, you know.
Yeah.
And I like the watching on big TV. There we go. Thank you very much. And so it's on all the audio streaming platforms like iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, and all that stuff. It's likely to be the title track of my next album next year. I think.
Nice.
I think
Cool.
Born
I
Ready
should
might
have
be.
put it on the singles. I don't know why I didn't.
So that's all good.
Oh,
But anyway, please check it out and give me your feedback. I appreciate it very much.
yes, and I'm excited to see you at Dan's. Hopefully, he doesn't get like 1,000 people at the door because that place only holds what about I don't know 150 people, something like
I
that.
know, I know. It's gonna be fun though. I'm just so glad I'm gonna see all you guys and all the people that we hear and chat with on the chat line.
Yeah.
And last time was a blast, and it's just gonna be fun again. So
Yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
And if Dan, if you're watching, get some of this shitty ass fucking piss ass pissy beer in because it doesn't give me a hangover. That's why I drink it. It tastes like nothing. Wait, nothing. But it doesn't give me a hangover at all. So that's why
Shitty
I
ass, pissy ass beer.
oh, it's fucking awful. You know what it tastes like? You know when you get a Sprite from Wendy's or McDonald's and you're almost done with it, but there's
Ah,
a little bit of Sprite left with all that melted ice. Ta-da! That's what it tastes like.
Alcohol
But it goes down fast and easy, and I wake up tomorrow and I can function and everything. So if you see me down in the chat right now, woo, a little
He's
tipsy.
lit. He's lit.
I'm lit. I'm lit. Hello, Drunk Jamie. Hello. So don't forget to check us out on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together. All the damn
all the damn time.
be all together in December. Click on the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you get alerted of the content as it drops. And mash that like button for us. And Pete's got that Ko-fi link. He's got a merch page. So I had a hat, but it was on the kitchen table and the Cleaning lady came, and guess what? The hat was gone. I don't know what she did. I don't know if she put it somewhere where I'll never find it. I don't know if she threw it away. I don't know if there's a 5'2" Mexican lady walking around Columbus right now with a Sea of Tranquility hat. I don't know where it is, so I had to get a new one. So we got that membership page, a membership thing. So join that at like $3 a month. That's nothing, right? And
Right.
we got the Cameo page. You throw Pete some money, and he'll come to your house with a case of Bud Light next, and you and him could get wasted on
Just like
beer that
Gene
tastes
Simmons.
like bad Sprite
Just like Gene
and
Simmons.
take selfies together and put them on Facebook.
Yeah.
So until the next time here on the review crew, where we have a new crew and different reviews, I am Jamie Laszlo. For Karen, for Nick, for Rick, I am out. We are out.